What's up everyone? Today I'm back with another AP Statistics video, and today we're going to be talking about something very simple, but something you need to know regardless, which is the mode, and we're going to talk about what it is and how to calculate it. So, what is a mode? Well, the mode is simply the most common value or number in a dataset. It's what shows up the most often. And it doesn't necessarily have to be one number. It could be multiple numbers that show up the most often, but I'll show you what that means in a second. But the point is, you're going to look at a data set and you're going to point out which numbers are the most frequent, which numbers occur most often in the data set. Now, when we describe the modes of a data set, there are a few terms we need to use. We can say something's unimodal when there's only one mode, which means exactly one number shows up the most often in the data set. We can say something's bimodal, which is to say a data set has two modes, or two numbers show up more often in the set of data, more so than any of the other numbers, and these two numbers that appear most frequently occur the exact same number of times. Now, we can also say something's multimodal, and this is the event where you have three or more numbers that show up most incredibly frequently in a data set, and they all show up the exact same number of times. It's also important to know that a dataset can have no mode. If every number shows up the exact same number of times in the dataset, well, that means the dataset has no mode. I've heard some people say that, oh, well, if every number shows up the exact same number of times, that means it must mean every number is a mode. Don't say that. That's stupid. Don't do that. Remember, if all the numbers show up at the exact same number of times in the dataset, there's no mode for the dataset. Just think of it that way, all right? So let's try some examples. So I'm just going to walk you through each one. What is the mode of the following datasets? All right, so here we have a dataset, right? It's in order. It's a lot of numbers. But when we're asking for the mode, we're just looking for the number that shows up the most often. And here, obviously, it's the number 5,000. The number 5,000 shows up 3 times, while at most, the other numbers can show up a maximum of 2 times. Obviously, 3 is greater than 2, so obviously the mode must be the number 5,000. And we also say it's unimodal because there's only one number that shows up the most often, and that's the number 5,000. Now let's try this next data set. Here we see that we have some numbers, right? But some of these numbers appear more often than others. In particular, the numbers 63, 99, and 160, right? These numbers each show up twice in the data set, while the rest only show up once, right? So if these numbers show up the most often, and they all show up the exact same number of times, and they must all be modes. So therefore, all 3 of them will be modes. The numbers 63, 99, and 160 all show up 2 times, and that's more than any other number in the data set. So we're going to call those our modes, and we're going to describe this entire set as multimodal, because remember, something's multimodal when it has 3 or more modes. Now this last example is important to notice. Each number in this data set shows up the exact same number of times. Each number shows up only once. And if all the numbers show up the exact same number of times, that means there is no mode. And so if there's no mode, there's no mode. So you're done. You just say there's no mode. All right. And that covers the mode. If you want more examples or you have any questions or you just want some advice about life in general, feel free to shoot me a message or leave a note in the comments. And I hope you stop by and watch more of our videos.